Good morning, good evening, and good night. I am Deadshot, host of Warframe Mornings. I certainly hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today we are going to be showcasing my viral frost build. This entire build is based around dealing a shit ton of viral damage and a shit ton of cold damage and freezing our enemies solid so that they can't do anything. Starting off in the aura slot, we've got corrosive projection to reduce our enemy's armor a little bit further and just to help our abilities a little bit more. Prime sure-footed in the Exilis mod slot, make sure that we don't fall on our butt and maintain our damage. Archon flow for the energy pool and the the energy production. As you will notice, enemies killed by cold abilities have a 10% chance to drop an energy orb, and we are going to be spamming cold abilities a lot. We've got equilibrium just so that we have the conversion of health to energy and energy to health. Fighting frost is going to be one of our augments of choice, as we will gain 200% crit chance and 200% crit damage against frozen enemies. And with the spamming of avalanche, we're going to be freezing a lot of enemies. And we're going to be spamming it even more because with the icy avalanche augment here, we're going to be gaining 60 overguard per enemy hit, plus an extra 20% of your base armor per enemy. So it ends up stacking pretty quickly. We'll notice here that our overguard cap is going to be about 34,000. Armor to overguard conversion also scales with ability strength, which makes it kind of busted. So you'll notice that we're actually converting almost half of our armor value to overguard each time we strike an enemy. To increase that further, we are running a single blind rage for that ability strength, and we're losing the efficiency, but we don't care because we have more than enough energy production. We are running stretch for the ability range to hit more enemies and spread more cold and freeze more. Amar's hatred for the armor and ability strength. That's what's giving us partially the 229% strength. And then steel fiber to finalize our armor value to give us that full 933. And then we're getting 46% of that converted. So I think that worked out to being somewhere around 450 per, which is actually, yeah, that's solid. That's solid. That's a lot of overguard. Moving on to the other abilities, Snow Globe is one that we all know and love. Creates a little dome. There's not too much regarding this guy, of course. You can use it for defensive purposes, for offensive purposes. There's a couple of uses for it. We're not going to be using it all that much. The other star of the show is going to be Ice Wave, because this will also help us with freezing enemies and spreading cold damage. Got lots of angle. I think angle spread scales with range. Yeah, and same with the width and length. That's all going to scale with range, and then your damage is going to scale with ability strength. So this one is pretty useful. I've found myself using it quite a bit to help proc cold. And then moving on to our helmet swapped ability is going to be wired size to help spread that viral damage. This is also part of the reason why I don't have a whole lot of duration on this build. You see, I have not spec'd into it because I kind of don't want this to last a whole long time, even though the slow duration, I don't want that affected, right? Because we want to keep them slow for as long as possible, but I also don't want the wired size to surround me for very long. It helps, and it's going to help us spread a lot of viral, which makes it easier and more flexible with what companion you decide to run. You don't have to run a Panzerwappenpfeiler with Frost. You can pretty much run whatever you want. We're also going to be rocking Arcane Truculence. When gaining 3,000 or more overguard threshold, you'll release a 30-meter radial attack that will apply max viral stacks to all enemies. So this one is going to be coming in handy quite a bit. So if we can't proc this, we're going to be hitting them with wired sides and basically bouncing back and forth between procking viral with both. And then to finalize our arcanes here and the build, we're going to be rocking the obvious Arcane Ice Storm. Per enemy frozen, you gain 2% ability strength and 2% ability duration for 15 seconds. That's with the 20%. We will be freezing enemies constantly. They will not be allowed to move. Going over the energy cannon. One of my favorite guns. We all know and love the Tenet Glaxon. Same thing that I usually run. You've got the corrosive setup on here, galvanized aptitude, shivering contagion for the spread, sinister reach for the range, amalgam serration for your base damage increase and that sprint speed increase, photon overcharge for more crit damage on kill or assist, and slain enemies have a 2% chance to drop an energy orb per cold status affecting them. So this works out to being something around like each enemy has a 30% chance to drop energy orbs. You don't have an energy issue with Frost. That is a thing of the past. Then we're also rocking Galvanized Chamber and Prime Cryo rounds to just help increase our damage a little bit further. And Primary Frostbite to increase that critical damage and multi-shot for more damage. The secondary, we are rocking the Dual Coda Torxicas. I tend to love these guns as they really do like to help me freeze enemies. They very much do the same thing with their unique trait. The Torxica will spread 3 spores on death of the enemy, which will inflict cold status, and additional shots inflicted to that enemy will receive 1.5 times damage. Very useful. Going over the mods real quick, we're gonna go with Prime Convulsion for our element. We're gonna be basically only doing shock. This is gonna combine with Conjunction Voltage. Hornet Strike for base damage increase, Lethal Torrent for fire rate and more multi-shot, Creeping Bullseye to increase our crit chance, Pistol Elementalist for more status damage and reload speed, kind of important, Magnetic Might for the magnetic damage and critical damage increase, Merciless Gunfight for more critical damage, and then Galvanized Diffusion for the multi-shot and the stacking multi-shot, and then Prime Steady Hands just because I didn't know what else to run, and having less recoil is beneficial, especially on dual wield guns. And then our Arcane, going over it again, Conjunction Voltage is going to be giving us 1.5 times reload speed and plus 3% multi-shot for 12 seconds up to 40 times. And we will be doing that quite a bit with this gun. Moving on to the Praetos, same deal. This guy, we don't really care about the mods too much because we're not using it for the mods. We're not really using it as a melee weapon as much. We are using it for the increase in parkour velocity and the increase in sprint speed, I can speak English, and slide duration, or slide friction. I don't exactly know what they mean by plus 20% slide. I don't know if it's minus friction and plus duration or what. Sorry, my companion, I almost forgot about her. We're going to be running once again Alucard because the Vasca Cavat I think is kind of fun. I like the spooky cat. I've wanted a Vasca for a very long time. The other option, you can run the Panzerverbophiler. Holy crap, I can't believe I forgot that. Or Nautilus, basically whatever companion you prefer to use. The companion isn't the most important thing on this one. The other one that would be really fun would be the Smita. That's also another option that you could pick for yourself. Whoops, my bad. Going over the build for these guys. We are going to go with Draining Bite as one of our abilities. Inflicts 5 stacks of slash at 150% of its melee damage and restores 10% of health to itself. So this is going to keep the Vasca Cavat alive while they fight and try to keep me alive. This one is, I think, one of the most important mods that you can get for the Vasca Cavat, as this basically prevents you from skill issuing, and it's very effective. I've used it many a times. When Master is bleeding out, the Vasca Cavat sacrifices 20% of its health to raise them. So at least you won't have your Vasca Cavat going down, and with the large health pool, it makes it a little bit easier for the Vasca Cavat to stay alive after reviving you. Synth Fiber and Synth Deconstruct for the health ore production and the ability to pick them up regardless of your health status. Sharpened Claws for more damage and rendering flesh and sundering armor. Of course, I read right off the mods. Basically, pure armor strip against a few different enemies, and I think that can also proc with the other mod on the claws, which allows them to hit 4 enemies at the same time. So I think they can proc at the same time, and you can armor strip up to 4 enemies at the same time. But that also doesn't matter because I'm pretty sure that Avalanche also armor strips. Prime Animal Instinct for that loot radar and enemy radar. Resourceful Retriever for the resource pickups. Tenacious Bond for the critical damage. Fetch for the gathering, and Enhanced Vitality again for keeping the Basket Combat alive, and that's what gives it the 1000 health pool. The claws. To start off, we are running the Frenzied Posture so that they can hit multiple targets. I found this one to be one of the most useful. They go insane. I love this one. Precision Conditioning is going to be a base damage multiplier. It's very lovely, and it converts all of their physical damage to slash damage, as if I need to do more, right? We've also got Frostjaw and Venom Teeth for more status chance, and that Toxin Cold combination for viral. I don't know how to talk. Call of the Week, melee damage per status. Okay, I'm not going to respond to that right now. Melee damage per stats type affecting the target. Non-critical hits deal plus 240% damage. So this one can be pretty useful. It is, I think this one's multiplicative. If I'm reading that correctly, that one should be a multiplicative increase, and that is very nice. Nope, that one's additive. Melee damage per, yeah, that's gonna be additive. Anyways, moving on to Radon Claws for that increase in critical damage and radiation. Magnetic Claws for the magnetic damage and the status duration. Stick drift is real today. Swipe, this is the ability that I was talking about, or this is the mod that I was talking about. Strikes 4 additional enemies and increases attack range by 2 meters. This combines with the armor strip ability for the Kavats. And then Bite for that increase in critical chance and critical damage. You kind of just barely get over the threshold for the Kavat. With the Vaska Kavat. You barely get over the threshold for critical chance, but it's enough to get you there. Alright, and real quick, we're going to go over the Archon Shards of Choice. And then we are going to jump into a real quick survival mission. I'm going to find the highest level survival mission that I can find. Probably going to be Circulus, and I'm hoping that there is a relic mission for it so that I can get the highest level possible of 203 to 205. We'll see how it goes. Alright, so for our Archon Shards, we are rocking 2 yellows for the casting speed. It's going to give us a 50% increase, or the equivalent of 1 natural talent mod. We are going to be running an increase of armor, again, to try to maximize what Icy Avalanche is going to return to us in the way of Overguard. We're going to go with an energy max because, let's be real, Frost has a very shit energy pool. And then we're going to go with a little bit of ability strength to bring us up to that 229%. All right, now let's go put it into action. We're going to make sure it is in Steel Path, of course. Back down here, Conjunction Survival, it is Yarium, so that's not going to be high enough. Oh, okay, so we're just going to pop over to Lua ourselves and pop over to Circulus. I don't want to find a squad, I want to go solo. I don't want people joining me while I do this, because that kind of defeats that purpose.
These foes deserve your respect. Honor them with quick deaths, and I with your victory.
Kind of love the enemies that spawn right at the beginning there. And you can see there that that netted quite a bit of energy to start off with. Wired Size are a very fun addition to it. Cast that again. Proc tons of viral. Things go down really fast. And then we cast Avalanche. Armor strip them with Icy Avalanche, and they just kind of drop. Past that, we can freeze more enemies. Build energy with the cannon. Freeze an armor strip. Spread viral. Yeah, it's incredibly effective. And you know what, just to keep ourselves, you know, mildly protected. Of course, should it tickle your fancy, you can always include the operator part of the gameplay loop. Right, so you swap operator, double void sling, get those two buffs. I cannot remember their names right now, but we'll pause and we'll go over them. Power transfer. This is critical damage and increase to casting speed after transference to Warframe. And then sling strength, which increases your ability strength when you chain your slings. So that's gonna make the sides hit harder. That's gonna make not only your avalanche hit harder, but it's going to increase the percentage of avalanche before that fades away. That a quick peek. 62% is what that pumps you up to, and giving you a 46,000 overguard cap, which by the way does not actually exist. This game really does not. They don't mean it when they say there's an overguard cap for Frost. Well, they kind of do, but like they also kind of don't. On lower level missions, it's definitely easier to get the kill with the avalanche. So it's going to lead to, you know, quite a bit more energy production. It's going to lead to more spam, which is probably part of the reason why I'm not getting as much spam as I want right now, but that's fine. Energy cannon works as is intended. And because of all of the stuff like this. Oh, someone pulled away my gun. That's lovely. So we'll just use this for a minute. Freeze him again, take my Glaxon back. It comes out so quickly, it's insane. Get out of here, mouse. Oh, bubble. Gotta watch it.
Oculists, if they scan you, sentient fighters won't be far behind. Tenno, if you have a necromech, this would be an excellent place to deploy it.
You can only have that on me for so long. Your duration is not infinite. Why am I having so many uses of mouse right now? Get out of my way. Bro, just get off my screen. That's that. Hit all these guys that are just so kindly frozen over here.
Look out for troopers.
Energy.
The deeper I can search, but if you need to leave, extraction is ready. Hiding Lua in the void risked the unfathomable.
Come
I
on.
fear we are seeing
Come on.
the
There you go.
consequences of that risk now. Destroy these void-stained enemies.
Come on. There we go. Alright, let's get the hell out of here. Once I figure out which direction the out is. Way. Okay. Okay. Alright. Sure. Deployable cover. Why not? I don't even think they went through my overguard. Thinking about it, you can just generate it so quickly. He generates it, I think, about as fast as Dante does. You just can't generate as much as Dante, depending on what kind of situation you put him into. But realistically, when you're running Steel Path, like, you're taking damage as frequently as you're replenishing it. Pretty much regardless of what you do, especially the closer you get to level cap. Can you... Whoa, where are you going? All right, that is Viral Frost. Very fun build. I highly recommend y'all go out there and try it for yourselves. You do need to subsume Dagath in order to do it, and I know that Dagath is a bit of a hard frame to farm for, a bit of an annoying frame to farm for, but totally worth it in the way of this build. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. But with that being said, that's going to be all from me today, folks. I do hope that you enjoyed the video. Please do be sure to subscribe and leave a like and a comment down below if you enjoyed the video. I will see you guys next week for the next build showcase video. Not sure what it's gonna be. Probably gonna announce that one on stream either in the morning, or either on my next stream or the one after that. We'll see. I will see you guys in the next one.